Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today, for our 37th D&D 3.5 Prestige class review, we're going to be looking at the Master Specialist from the Complete Mage sourcebook. There are Specialist Wizards, and then there is the Master Specialist, the pinnacle of focus on a particular school of magic. Master Specialists study one particular school of magic almost to the exclusion of all others. And Master Specialists would be sought out as the leaders in the field, so to speak, of a particular magical school. To become a Master Specialist, you're going to need to be a Specialist Wizard, as it suggests. You're also going to need 5 ranks in Knowledge Arcana, 5 ranks in Spellcraft, and the feat Spell Focus in the school of your specialization. You also need to be able to cast 2nd level arcane spells. Now, you might notice that none of these features require you to be above level 3. And this is the case. You can take this prestige class as your 4th character level, advance all the way through, and complete it at 13th level rather than 15th for a lot of prestige classes, or even later. And then you can take levels in Archmage or Return to Wizard, or something else. This prestige class actually does a decent job preparing you for the Archmage prestige class in some ways. So, the Master Specialist is essentially 8 prestige classes rolled into one for each school of magic. It has different features at the various levels depending on what school of magic you chose to specialize in. So let's take a look at what it gives you. You get a D4 hit die, half your level base attack bonus, 2+ intelligence modifier skill points, and a goodwill save. Your skill list is pretty much identical to that of a wizard. So, in terms of your base numbers, you're going to be pretty much the same as a wizard, with a little bit stronger will save and a little bit weaker fortitude and reflex. At 1st level, and the important thing here is that you're going to improve your spellcasting at every single level of this prestige class. So that's really what puts this in the game, so to speak. Really, you're getting a feature at every level of this prestige class, and you're only missing out on 2 wizard bonus feats, maybe 3. So, to do this prestige class, you're really not losing anything if you're a specialist wizard. You're going to already have 5 ranks in Knowledge Arcana, 5 ranks in Spellcraft. There's almost no way you wouldn't have that. Spell Focus is really the only ask for this, and if you're going to be specialized in Conjuration, you're probably going to have it. Enchantment and Evocation, you're probably going to have it. Illusionist, you're fairly likely to have it. Transmutation, for some hostile spells, yeah. Necromancy, probably not, but only then is it really what you might call a feat tax to qualify for this prestige class. So at 1st level, you get Skill Focus in Spellcraft as a bonus feat. This isn't an amazing feature to start out, but given the great features that you get later from this prestige class, it's not bad. And again, your spellcasting is advancing, and as a level 4 wizard, you're not going to be getting a class feature anyway, so this is essentially giving you an extra bonus feat a level early. At level 2, you gain Expanded Spellbook. You can add 1 spell of your chosen school to your spellbook, and it can be of any level that you can cast, in addition to the normal spells you get, increasing your level. You get this again at 5th level and 8th level. Getting an extra spell for free is nice. It is going to save you maybe a couple thousand gold later on, which can be put into maybe an upgrade to a Ring of Protection or something like that, or another wand of a different type, or just more scrolls. More spells are always great for a wizard. The more spells you have in your spellbook, the more versatility you have. While this isn't an amazing feature, it's definitely a major bonus, major benefit, and you certainly couldn't complain about getting this. At level 3, you're going to get Greater Spell Focus as a bonus feat applied to your chosen school you specialized in. You get 2 bonus feats in the first 3 levels, which is good. This is the point where you would have been missing out on a bonus feat from Wizard, so you could have taken this anyway. You are still advancing your Wizard level, and you are getting an extra spell you wouldn't have otherwise gotten, so this is helping you out. And yeah, that extra spell from before is going to have to be in your specialized school, but you're probably not going to run out of spells that you want to take from that school. And of course, you can always just reallocate one of your 2 free spells you get every level to something else. At 4th level, you gain Minor School Esoterica. So you're going to get Minor School Esoterica, Moderate School Esoterica, and Major School Esoterica. And these are the 3 abilities that are going to be specific to your chosen school. So we're going to go through these here. For Abjuration, you gain a competence bonus on dispel checks equal to half your Master Specialist level. So this is going to be an up to +5 bonus on dispel checks. This can be quite nice for tipping the scales in your favor when you're going up against somebody with a higher caster level, which oftentimes you will be at higher levels in D&D, where monster hit dice often scale way far away from yours as a character. We're going to give this one 2 stars out of 5. This isn't fantastic, and it is situational, but it is good to have. Conjuration. Any creature you summon or call appears with extra hit points equal to your caster level. This can be a very significant boost. And this is going to be really great if you summon multiple creatures. You can summon several weaker creatures if you go 2 levels down in your summon monster. You can summon a bunch of quite heavily buffed creatures. Depending on the creature, you might end up with something with more hit points than it actually would have had baseline, or more than twice, that is. And this is going to fall off later on, but summoning is good at pretty much every level. And while it's maybe not quite as good as a wizard in some ways, this is still going to be nice to have. We're going to give this one 3 stars. For Divination, divination spells you cast have a duration of concentration, or they have a duration of concentration, last an extra number of rounds equal to half your Master Specialist level. This can be nice for some spells. This isn't going to be the most powerful feature, but it's certainly one that can be helpful. Something like, an Arcane Eye spell or something like that could be helpful to have this for. We're going to give this one 2 stars as well. For Enchantment, targets of your charm spells don't gain a bonus on their save due to being threatened or attacked by your allies, and your compulsion spells, targets don't get a bonus on their save if they were going to be forced to take an action against their nature, which I believe is a +4 bonus. So this can be nice for when you get a hold of a Dominate spell. This can be quite strong. We're going to give this 3 stars, even though enchantment magic in general is difficult to use. A lot of monsters are going to be immune to it. And while Dominate is very good, just forcing a creature to, maybe jump off of a cliff or impale itself on something in order to kill it, that is going to be a difficult saving throw for you to make it fail, so this will help that along. We'll give it 3 stars. Really, it probably should be 2. For Evocation, you gain a bonus on concentration checks equal to half your Master Specialist level while casting Evocation spells. This one really isn't that great. Yes, if you're being threatened, you can do this, but the thing is, 3.5, unlike Pathfinder, does not have any kind of real modifiers to your concentration checks for being threatened. If you cast defensively, it's just a straight DC 15. So this can be nice. This can save you putting some ranks in concentration. You can put some skill points in something else, but you're going to have a boatload of skill points as is. So this is really maybe in some ways just giving you a few more skill points. We're going to give this 1 star. Maybe it could be 2, but it's just a little bit lackluster. For Illusion, the save DCs of your illusion spells have Will Disbelief increased by 2. So this is +2 to your save DCs for your illusion spells, on top of already getting the +2 from Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus. So this is pretty great. This is going to make your illusion spells pretty hard to save against. This can be really great for forcing through a Phantasmal Killer spell, where every point of the DC matters. When they have 2 saving throws, they have to fail. While it's a little bit ambiguous here because it has 2 saving throws, and while the entry does contain Will Disbelief, it also contains a Fortitude save. So it's really difficult to decide if this should apply to Phantasmal Killer. I would say that it would apply to the Will save, if not the Fortitude save, seeing as that's a separate part of the spell. But that would be up to the individual Dungeon Master's judgment. In some ways, rules as written, this wouldn't apply to Phantasmal Killer at all. Even so, we're going to give it 3 stars. For Necromancy, whenever you cast a Necromancy spell, your undead allies within 60 feet gain turn resistance and a bonus on saves equal to your Master Specialist level for number of rounds equal to your Master Specialist level. This can be pretty nice. It's not really clear. I mean, it's probably not going to stack since it's going to be from the same source. But turn resistance can be helpful in some cases, maybe if you're fighting against another evil cleric or a good aligned cleric. And this can be good for an NPC villain, certainly, to give a whole bunch of undead turn resistance. The bonus on saving throws is also nice. We're going to give this one 2 stars. It's situational, and it's going to only be helpful if you have an army of undead with you, which again, as a necromancer, you almost certainly will. For transmutation, whenever a transmutation spell that you've cast is successfully dispelled, it remains in effect for 1 round and then ends as normal. This is a nice feature if you're up against enemy wizards who are trying to dispel your, Tenser's transformation or something like that. But odds are that this isn't going to come up that often. Again, you're not going to be running into enemy monsters or enemy wizards trying to dispel your spells that often. We're going to give this one 1 star. It is very helpful. It could maybe make the difference between living and dying if you get knocked out of a group of transmutation spells and they can last 1 more round so you can kill your opponent. But it's really just not going to come up that often. So we're going to give this one 1 star. At level 6, in this prestige class, you're going to add 1 to your caster level whenever you cast a spell of your chosen school. And at 9th level, this bonus increases to +2 to your caster level. This is a nice feature. Buffs on your caster level are always great. This will help the damage for your evocation spells, if nothing else, if you're an evocation wizard, an evoker. And it will help with pretty much, any other school as well. You do have to worry about running into some caps on various things based on caster level. It's not like it's increasing it, it's not intensifying it, but it is still a good feature to have. Then at level 7, you get Moderate School Esoterica. So this is the second tier of ability from your chosen school, so we're going to go through these again as well for each school. For Abjuration, if you're subject to a spell that has a partial or half effect on a successful save, you suffer no adverse effect if you successfully save. So this is essentially evasion and metal rolled into one. We're going to give this one 4 stars because, again, you have a weak fortitude and reflex save. So if you do manage to make your saving throw, it'd be good for you to at least not take any damage at all or not suffer any effect at all. So we're going to give this one 4 stars. And keep in mind, these this moderate school tier, these are all inherent resistant abilities based on your chosen school of magic. So rather than being things that apply to your spells, these are things that apply to you. You've fortified your body against your own school of magic. For Conjuration, dispel checks made against your Conjuration spells treat your caster levels if it were 5 levels higher than normal. So this is going to be good. Again, like with the Transmutation one, we're probably going to have to give this one 1 star, simply because it's going to be pretty situational. You're going to be running into opponents trying to dispel your Conjuration spells. For Divination, you gain Uncanny Dodge for the duration of the spell. This can be nice, but the thing is, if you're being attacked flat-footed, you're already doing something wrong, and your Divination spells have already failed. We're going to give this one 1 star as well. For Enchantment, you can reroll any failed will save against an enchantment or mind-affecting spell or ability. You must accept the result of the second roll. You're already going to have an exceptional will save just by taking levels in this prestige class, getting an extra +2 to your will from the base starting base will save bonus. But being able to re-roll against something that could be just putting you right out of the fight is going to be great to have. It's going to be less important on a wizard as it would be on, say, a fighter, but we're still going to give this one 2 stars, as it can apply to any saving throw that you have to make. For Evocation, you gain resistance 20 to any one energy type that matches a descriptor used by a spell you just cast. So any spell that you've just cast, you get resistance 20 to that energy type. And it says it lasts for, all these abilities last for a number of rounds equal to the spell's level. So if you cast a fireball, you get fire resistance 20 for 3 rounds. And yeah, you can cast resist energy for any type, but this is going to be really nice for a character who doesn't want to have to waste the action casting that. The only downside is if you're up against a red dragon, you're probably not going to be using fireball because your opponent's going to be immune to that. So you're not going to be getting resistance to fire from this ability. This can be useful against, demons and devils and such that might use the same types of energy that they're resistant or immune to, but or rather might not use that energy type. But again, this one might be a little bit more situational than it first appears, might not be quite as good. So we're going to give this one 2 stars. For the Illusionists at this level, you gain Concealment. Now, before you get excited, this isn't total concealment. You only get a 20% mischance from this ability, but you can still think of that as maybe 20% less damage and thus 20% more hit points, at least from attack rolls directed against you. And again, you shouldn't be wanting to have attack rolls against you in the first place, but it is unavoidable, and if you're making use of stuff such as Mirror Image, this can be a nice backup to that so you don't have to cast Displacement. This is a nice feature. We're going to give this one 3 stars. If it was Total Concealment, or whatever, giving you a 50% mischance, then we would absolutely be giving this one 5 stars. For Necromancy, you gain immunity to ability damage, drain, energy drain, and negative levels. These are some of the most devastating things that can happen to you in D&D, other than outright death. This doesn't give you immunity to death effects, but again, not having to deal with negative levels can make you basically immune to vampires and wights. Yeah, they're still doing damage and sometimes a fair bit of it, but the really scary aspect of their attacks is gone. Ability damage and ability drain, this almost effectively makes you immune to poison. We're going to give this ability 4 stars. It's an excellent defensive ability, and it's almost certainly going to come up. And it's certainly better than having concealment. For Transmutation, you can immediately reroll any failed Fortitude save against a Transmutation spell or ability, and you must accept the result of the second roll. This can be great if you get targeted by Disintegrate, and Disintegrate is a great option for wizards to use against each other because they don't have very good Fortitude saves, and they probably don't have the best touch armor class in the world. Maybe better than a fighter, maybe not. Probably not better than the Party Monk, but that's still going to be a common and effective attack enemy wizards will use against you. We're going to give this one 2 stars because while it is quite situational, this one definitely could save your life. Probably more so than the enchantment one would. And really, in some ways, the enchantment one should only have 1 star, but we'll leave it at 2. Finally, at level 10, after you gain your second expanded spellbook and your caster level increased to +2, you're going to finally get Major School Esoterica. So this is the peak of your knowledge of your chosen school. You gain an ability from the list below based on your chosen school, and you can use it 3 times per day. So keep that in mind as we go through these. For Abjuration, when casting an Abjuration spell that normally has a range of personal, you can instead choose to cast it as a touch spell that affects a single creature. And when casting it with an emanation centered on you, you can cast it on as a touch spell that emanates from the chosen creature. So this is pretty great. My first thought for this one would be to use it with Mirror Image, but that's not an Abjuration spell, unfortunately. Being able to put that on a fighter is really great. So we're going to give this one 2 stars. It's not going to come in handy all the time, but sometimes it will. For Conjuration, this lets you cast a Conjuration spell with a casting time of 1 standard action as a swift action. Unfortunately, this isn't going to apply to your summoning spells. If it did, this would make this ability really great. There are some uses for it. Being able to do a swift action casting time and basically quicken a Conjuration spell will be pretty good. Maybe throwing in a quickened Kelgor's Firebolt a few times a day would be nice. But it's not as great as it could be, maybe a little bit of a disappointment. We're going to give it 3 stars just because anything that's going to give you an extra spell in a turn is going to be great to have. For Divination, whenever you cast a Divination spell, you also gain True Seeing for 5 rounds. This is going to be really great because True Seeing is usually a 6th level spell, and you're going to be able to get it 3 times a day just when casting another Divination spell. So this can let you get away basically with not preparing it at all and saving this for, when you run into something else, something invisible, you can cast maybe even just a True Strike or something like that and get your True Seeing for free, basically using it up as a lower level spell slot. It'll only be for 5 rounds, but a lot of times you're going to be using this for combat or just to look at one particular thing to see its true nature. So this will be a pretty fair use of the spell, still pretty reasonable use of it. So we're going to give this one 3 stars. We're actually going to give this one 4 stars for letting you sort of cheat the spell slot level system a little bit here. For Enchantment, any creature that successfully saves against one of your enchantment spells must save again 1 round later with a +5 bonus on the save, as if you'd cast the spell again. This basically is almost the reverse of the 7th level feature for enchantments. Rather than you getting 2 chances at a save, you give another creature 2 chances to fail. Yes, they do get +5 on the second saving throw, but that's only so its ability isn't completely overpowered. We're going to give this one 4 stars. It would potentially have 5 stars, except for the inherent limits of the enchantment school not applying to so many creatures, and the +5 bonus, of course. For Evocation, any creature that fails its save against one of your Evocation spells takes damage again 1 round later, equal to half the damage it took when it cast a spell. The higher you get in levels, the more creatures are going to be saving against your Evocation spells, so you're not going to be getting to use this that much, but still half again as much damage is essentially empowering the spell in some ways, a sort of double or nothing sort of effect. We're going to give this one 3 stars. If it weren't for how much monsters make their saving throws at higher levels, this would probably be higher. And if it gave, a whole 100% of the damage, then it would definitely be 4, maybe 5 stars. But it's a great little bit of extra damage, and it really will put the sting on monsters that fail their saving throws. For Illusion, you can cast any illusion spell as a stilled and silent spell and eschew the materials without an increase in caster level or casting time. This can be really great if you're just standing there talking to somebody and you don't want them to notice that you're casting an illusion spell. We're going to give this one 3 stars. Another obvious use for this one would be if you were captured or imprisoned, but this is going to get less and less likely at higher levels, especially as the damage gets so high that if you're going to lose a fight, odds are you're going to have just been straight up killed from the amount of damage you took. For Necromancy, it says whenever you cast a Necromancy spell, undead allies within 60 feet of you gain fast healing 10 for 5 rounds. This one is really excellent if you've got a horde of undead following you around, and you're not going to be very easily able to heal them as a wizard. But with this spell, you can just do a first level Necromancy spell and give fast healing 10, basically bring back 50 hit points to each of your undead. You do this 3 times a day for the cost of 3 first level spell slots for all that you care. You can restore 150 hit points to each of your undead companions. This is a really spectacular feature if you've managed to take control of some pretty powerful undead. We're going to give this one 4 stars simply because of the amount of staying power that it gives undead that you're fighting and how much you're going to save on magic items or favors from your party cleric in order to do this. And this is also a great one to use in combat as well. Yeah, 10 extra hit points around in a higher level combat isn't going to be doing that much work, but even if the fight only lasts 2 rounds, that's an extra 20 hit points for your undead. Finally, for Transmutation, and we're giving that one 4 stars, by the way, the Necromancy one. For Transmutation, whenever a creature successfully saves against a Transmutation spell you cast, they take damage equal to the level of the spell. So in some ways, you could see this as a buff to the Disintegrate spell, adding another 6 points of damage to it. For Baleful Polymorph, I guess if the target succeeds on their save, then they still take 5 damage. This is a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of, conciliatory prize, a little bit of compensation for your spell failing to go off correctly. We're going to give this one 1 star. It can be useful in some circumstances. Maybe it could kill a monster and it would be pretty funny. And I guess it is some guaranteed damage, and it is typeless damage at least. But it's dependent on the level of the spell, so at the very most this is going to be doing, 9 points of damage to a creature. That's not very much. So we're going to give this one 1 star. So, adding up all of the total points for each of these abilities from these 3 tiers of School Esoterica, Abjuration has 8 total stars, Conjuration has 7, Divination has 7, Enchantment has 9, Evocation has 6, Illusion has 8, Necromancy has 10, and Transmutation has 4. So all this may go against common wisdom. This is just my opinion on these abilities. It, again, heavily depends on the campaign that you're running. This is just going off of the kinds of opponents and challenges you're going to typically run into in a generic D&D campaign, so to speak. So it looks like Necromancy wins out, and that's really not that surprising, seeing as the abilities that you get aren't going to... There's no abilities that are going to be applying to dispel magics cast against you. Again, for a high-level campaign where the Dungeon Master is tailoring spellcaster foes to go up against you, because oftentimes that's one of the better ways to challenge high-level characters, that can be great, but the ones for Necromancy apply to your undead. It's going to assume that you're going to have undead companions as a Necromancer, which you probably should. And but if you do, this one's going to far and away win. For Enchantment, it's going to be second place. You're going to get a lot of abilities that protect you from enchantments. Maybe this one should be at 8. Maybe this one should be tied with Illusion and Abjuration. But it does give you a lot of ways to enhance your enchantment spells. Abjuration's also got some great features, and so does Illusion. Illusion lets you get some ways to potentially force through some of your spells, make it easier to pass off illusions by making your foes not even know that you're casting them, and give you some other little benefits, and give you some protection as well. So overall, this would be best for necromancers, illusionists, enchanters, and abjurers. That said, you can still definitely take this as an evocation wizard, or even a transmutation wizard. It's just not going to be as useful to you, generally speaking. So overall, the Master Specialist is a pretty great prestige class. If you are a specialist wizard, there's almost no reason not to take it unless you really want those bonus feats that you were going to get to choose. If you really need them for a very feat-intensive build. But if you're going to be a specialist, it's probably going to be reasonable to take the Master Specialist prestige class. As such, I would give this prestige class 3 stars for concept and 4 stars for execution. Maybe really 5 stars when you look at the fact that this prestige class is pretty much a given to take for any specialist wizard. It has a lot of great features. Some of the features are lackluster for particular skills. That would really be what would keep it from getting 5 stars. But as is, it's a great prestige class. Definitely one to recommend. And definitely a great one to use for building NPC villains. In some ways, this one could have been a 5-level prestige class if you really wanted to condense the power of it and take out the skill-focused spellcraft and the expanded spellbook features. That would really stack this prestige class. That would make it extremely powerful. That might not be a good thing to do. I still wouldn't quite see it as being overpowered. You would probably have to raise the requirement for spellcasting to 3rd level arcane spells in order to do that for the sort of accelerated Master Specialist. But as is, taking 10 levels in this isn't a bad idea. Again, you wouldn't be getting any features from Wizard otherwise, other than a couple of bonus feats. So you get a feature at every level of this prestige class, including 2 bonus feats. You just don't get to pick them. So you don't really lose anything. You only get features that will benefit you. And that's really what makes a prestige class attractive. Classes in 3.5, base classes, they tend to peter off in the number of features they give at higher levels to encourage multi-classing and to encourage taking prestige classes. I'm very, very confident that that was an intentional part of the design of the game. So this prestige class fulfills all the requirements that you could really ask for from one, and as a result, I would highly recommend it. So that's going to do it for this D&D 3.5 prestige class review. This was quite a long one. Upcoming videos are going to include a comparison of D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder, as well as some more top 10 lists involving monsters from the various monster manuals. If you have any suggestions for videos related to D&D 3.5, definitely please suggest them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.